I've made over $60,000 from crypto airdrops over the past year. It's currently one of the best ways to make money in the crypto space, and I think what we're going to see happen with airdrops in 2024 is going to dwarf by far anything that we've seen so far. In this video, I'll walk you through what airdrops are, how to get started, how to avoid scams, and overall do a complete beginner's guide on how to get started earning crypto airdrops. To start off, let's dive into what are crypto airdrops. Crypto airdrops are like rewards for early users and adopters of crypto platforms, blockchains, and products. And this strategy has proven to be a really effective way to jumpstart a chain, project, etc. with liquidity, users, and adoption. Basically, airdrops are a big part of many crypto projects' marketing strategy. Because people think that a certain blockchain or a certain project might offer an airdrop in the future, they'll go and use that blockchain or they'll use that project, hoping that they could potentially earn that airdrop if it does happen. Most of these projects don't actively say that they're going to have an airdrop. They don't like promote and say, hey, we're going to have this huge airdrop. You should come and use this blockchain. What happens is users, again, just see that they don't have a token and then assume that they might have an airdrop and just go and start using these things. And the reason users do that is because the right airdrops can be extremely lucrative. I've had airdrops like Celestia, where initially I was airdropped around $3,000 worth of tokens, and I held those tokens. They ended up going up to around $22,000. I've had other airdrops like Dimension, which is currently worth over $25,000. And there's a member of the Obsidian Council who made over $60,000 from the Jupiter airdrop alone. Also worth noting, he did that on his own by just being an extremely early user of that platform. I personally only made around $800 from that airdrop myself. Now, I know you're thinking, which is, why would these protocols give out essentially free money? This is obviously too good to be true, and it doesn't make any sense. Well, first off, let me make it clear that airdrop farming is really confusing. It is far from guaranteed. It requires a ton of learning and patience and work, and it is filled with just absolutely so many ridiculous scams that it makes it really treacherous for even the most experienced users to navigate through the space. The scams part is really important because crypto airdrop scams are literally all over the place. It is one of the most common ways that inexperienced new users get hacked. But for those who take the time to learn, put in the work, and take the right precautions, there are tons of very lucrative and very real airdrop opportunities out there. For example, I recently earned around $2,000 in a meme coin for simply being an early user on a crypto social media platform called Farcaster and posting occasionally. And to be clear, I wasn't on this app to earn money. I was just using it to explore and learn and kind of grow my skills in the crypto space. And nobody told me that I would get an airdrop from doing this. It wasn't like, hey, come use this, you might get an airdrop. It was just, hey, this is a really neat kind of concept. I want to go use this. And then the airdrop was more of a surprise that just happened later down the line. Let's dive in a little bit more into how and why airdrops exist in the first place. First off, you need to understand that these projects aren't taking money from their bank account and just handing it to users. They are essentially printing a token out of thin air that costs them $0 to make. And these tokens are just a bunch of code. The market is what determines the value of these tokens. Meaning if everyone were to get these airdrops and get these tokens and just sell them immediately when they got them, and nobody was buying these tokens, then of course these tokens would be absolutely worthless. But if the airdrop's from a real project that's well known and big in the space and building something useful, usually a lot of people don't sell. And there's usually a lot of people that jump in and end up buying more of these tokens, anticipating that maybe they might go up in price further. Meaning suddenly these tokens that cost $0 to make are worth a decent amount of money. If that seems insanely stupid or ridiculous to you, I can totally understand why you'd think that. Maybe the easiest way to understand this concept is to look at things like trading cards. Trading cards are just pieces of cardboard that are printed on. They inherently have no utility and no value within themselves. Yet there are sports trading cards that trade for millions and millions of dollars. Now obviously there's playing card games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon that some of these cards trade for thousands or in some cases millions of dollars. Even though they're just pieces of cardboard, because a lot of people perceive those pieces of cardboard to be valuable, they have value and you can sell them for a lot of money. Another analogy would be, imagine if Taylor Swift made a super secret song and she only gave it to 10,000 of her most hardcore fans. She looked around and she's like, okay, people that have joined this fan club and they've bought this collector's edition, album or whatever, they all are going to get this super special song. And you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit, but imagine that only the people that owned this song could actually listen to it. Let's pretend that you couldn't pirate it and put it on the internet. Only the people that had this super special song could actually listen to it. What do you think a copy of that digital song would actually be worth? Do you think it'd be worth a little bit of money, or do you think it would be worth a lot of money? It would probably be worth a lot of money. Probably all 10,000 copies combined would be worth millions and millions of dollars. But how much would it cost Taylor Swift to actually give these songs to these superfans? Considering they're digital, it would cost her zero. I mean, obviously it cost her time to make the song and she had to pay to get that song recorded. But overall, from her bank account, it cost her very little. It certainly didn't cost her millions and millions of dollars. Yet, she would have created millions of dollars of value by giving these songs out. That's essentially how airdrops work. It doesn't cost these projects pretty much anything to give out these tokens, yet they create millions or in some cases billions of dollars of value due to market speculation. And these projects get users for their platforms, they get various revenue streams, and they get a huge chunk of these tokens that are now worth a lot of money. Okay, so now that you understand why airdrops exist in the first place, let's talk about how you could potentially earn them. And like I mentioned earlier, it can be really confusing and it requires a little bit of a learning curve to really get up to speed on how to get started. The first thing you need to do is to identify a potential airdrop. There are a ton of potential airdrops out there, but the truth is that 99% of them are either scams or a complete waste of time. You want to instead go after the best and most likely airdrop opportunities. For example, one highly anticipated airdrop is Eigenlayer. An Eigenlayer is a potential gold mine because it could open the door for potentially multiple airdrops through essentially one move. Eigenlayer also has what's called a point system. As you use Eigenlayer and do the various things that Eigenlayer wants you to do, you accumulate these things called points. And although Eigenlayer has never said like your points are going to translate over into an airdrop or anything like that, it is speculated by the market that these points will translate over into potentially a future Eigenlayer airdrop. Like the more points you earn on Eigenlayer, potentially the bigger airdrop allocation you'll earn in the future. Although again, they've never said that. And that's really one of the most challenging parts of airdrop farming is you're kind of shooting in the dark, hoping that you could maybe in the future earn this airdrop that you have no guarantees that you can actually get. With airdrop hunting, you are never guaranteed an airdrop. It is a complete guessing game. As far as points go, points are a newer trend that a lot of projects have started adding into their various protocols. It's kind of a way for them to indicate that they'll probably have an airdrop, and these are the things they want you to do if you maybe want to earn that airdrop. And currently with points, you can't sell them, you can't do anything with them. They're primarily considered metrics for gauging maybe your potential airdrop. Okay, so first you need to identify a potential airdrop, and secondly, you need to go and use the protocol that you're trying to earn this airdrop from. And really, when it comes to this, there's not like one particular way to do this. There's no like right way to go do this. A lot of times when there's no points, you're completely guessing. You're like, okay, this is a DEX where you swap different cryptos, so I'm just gonna swap some cryptos. Maybe I'll provide some liquidity. Maybe I'll do other things on this platform, and hopefully I'll earn an airdrop. Obviously though, when a protocol or blockchain or whatever has a point system, that kind of tells you what you need to do. Whatever earns you the most points is probably going to be the thing that earns you the highest airdrop allocation. For example, to potentially earn an airdrop for something like Eigenlayer, you would take some of your ETH, you would stake it on a platform like Swell, you would take your liquid staking token from Swell, and then you would go restake that on Eigenlayer. Alternatively, you could also just go to something like EtherFi, stake on there, and they're going to automatically restake it for you on Eigenlayer, and you'll start accumulating points that way. And that's it. For Eigenlayer, you would restake some liquid staked ETH, and that would start earning you some points. That's because for Eigenlayer, that's the most valuable action a user could take. They need a ton of value locked on their platform so that they could bootstrap what they're trying to build. For other airdrops like Rabbit Wallet, it involves using their wallet. So you go and use their wallet, you do swaps on their wallet, you invite other people to go use their wallet. For blockchains like Arbitrum, it involved using apps on Arbitrum and bridging over funds into their ecosystem. I've personally earned a couple airdrops through Celestia by simply taking my TIA tokens and staking them. That's because projects who use Celestia for data availability have been rewarding stakers on Celestia with an allocation from their airdrop. So as you can see, there are a lot of ways to earn airdrops, and not all of them are the same thing. Each strategy is unique, but all of them involve you going and using these blockchains and projects early and doing the things that are most valuable to those projects or blockchains. And often the ones who get the biggest airdrops are the ones who are able to spread out their footprint on chain as wide as possible. And if you don't understand what that means, think of on chain as the same thing as online. Imagine being an early internet user who goes and uses all these different websites. You sign up for Hotmail, you're chatting on AOL, you're doing all the various things internet users do. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about doing things on chain. You're going to these DEXs and you're doing swaps. You're staking things on various platforms. You're using on-chain social media. And I would bet for some of you listening to this, you have no idea what I'm even talking about when I reference half of these things. That's okay, and in some ways actually ideal when it comes to hunting these airdrops. That's because for me, when I hunt airdrops, I'm not actually hunting airdrops. Or at least I don't have an expectation that I'm gonna get anything in return. Instead, for me, it's just a massive learning opportunity. I wanna learn about all these new things coming out, all these new things being built. I wanna have an edge over the market when it comes to investing by actually going and using these various blockchains and apps, etc., allowing me to get an insight that maybe your average person doesn't have. So I'm taking $500 to $1,000 and going around and just using these various things. Again, with no expectation of getting anything in return, my primary goal is just to learn, grow my knowledge, and explore. So overall, that's how I view it, just as research for investing, and anything that I get on top of that, for me, is just like a massive bonus. Now, I've qualified for a lot of different airdrops, a number of different ways, which I'm gonna go through a list of the different ways that I've qualified for airdrops in just a second. But really quick, if you're interested in joining the Obsidian Council, my private community with in-depth research on the markets, airdrops, and a ton more, it's currently closed to new members, but you can join the waitlist in the description of this video to get notified when we open back up again. Okay, so some ways that I've earned airdrops in the past include 1. Staking my TIA tokens. Projects that use Celestia for DA sometimes airdrop tokens to Celestia staker. 2. Staking my Osmosis tokens. 3. Using Arbitrum apps. 4. Using DEXs like Uniswap and Jupiter. 5. Using decentralized social media apps like Farcaster. 6. Owning certain NFTs. In this case, for me, it was I owned a Mad Lad, and that allowed me to qualify for an airdrop. 7. Bridging funds over to certain chains. When it comes to earning an airdrop for a new blockchain, this is commonly a metric that goes into who can qualify for the airdrop, is who is bridging funds over into that chain. And lastly, a few times I've earned an airdrop from just a combination of multiple of those things. Sometimes they'll look at, say, hey, did you do things on Arbitrum? Are you staking on Celestia? And are you doing this extra thing? Okay, if you did all 3 of those things, then you earn an airdrop. Like I said before, they don't actually give you a list of what you need to do ahead of time. A lot of it is a guessing game. A lot of it is you just kind of spreading your footprint as wide as possible and hoping maybe you earn an airdrop. So that's why for me, it's all about learning and exploring and just trying these things out and getting better at just navigating around on chain and understanding how these things actually function. If you want a really solid strategy that gives you a wide footprint on chain to possibly earn an airdrop, go watch my recent video, If I Only Had $1,000 to Invest Today, my exact plan. I go over a pretty massive strategy that touches on a lot of different airdrops that you could do that might end up being an effective airdrop strategy. We'll see as time goes on. Now, a really important part of this process is that you have to keep up to date on when airdrops happen. Airdrops are really easy to miss and they don't last for forever. So if an airdrop says, hey, you can claim between these dates and you don't claim, then you miss out on that airdrop for forever, even if you had previously earned it. But beware, because like I mentioned earlier, there are a ton of scams that try to trick you into clicking these fake links that'll end up draining your entire wallet. These scams trick people by creating these posts that look really authentic. They look like they're actually from the project that you're hoping to get an airdrop from, and it says something like, oh, claim now by clicking this link. But it's a complete scam. If you click that link, you'll sign a transaction that'll end up draining your entire wallet. You have to essentially be hyper paranoid when it comes to farming airdrops if you want to do it well, because otherwise you're going to fall for one of these scams and get your entire wallet drained. And if you get anything from this video, it should be this. If you're in the crypto space, only the paranoid survive. I cannot stress that enough. Only the paranoid survive. These airdrop scams are relentless and you have to be extremely careful. Before clicking a link, I literally every time verify the link is spelled correctly, check that the link actually directs where it's supposed to by copying the link address and pasting it in notes. Once again, making sure it's spelled correctly. I check the official Twitter, Discord, and website to make sure they've all announced the airdrop claim page and use the same exact link. I check the comments to see if anyone is saying it's a scam. I do a few Google searches to verify others are talking about it as well. And after all of that, I then carefully open the link. If when the web page loads, it asks me to connect to my wallet, I'll typically again use Rabby Wallet, and I'll have it connect to an address that only has a small amount of funds in it. And I'll use that address first just to see what happens. If all that seems excessive, that's because even the smartest out there sometimes can be tricked by these things. So again, you have to literally be paranoid if this is something you want to get into. So to summarize, airdrops are legitimate and lucrative if you're going after the right ones. Picking the right ones is really important because there's a lot of projects that don't have a token, but 99% of them are either going to be scams or are just going to be a waste of your time. There are many different ways that you can earn airdrops, but almost all of them involve actively using these projects at an early stage and doing various things on chain. To up your chances of potentially earning an airdrop, you want to spread your footprint on chain as wide as possible. That means being curious, exploring the space, and just trying out a lot of cool things. You want to keep up to date with airdrops because if you miss it, you're not going to get the airdrop. For me personally, to do this, I mostly use Twitter. There are a ton of really great airdrop accounts to follow that give you up-to-date information on when airdrops are happening. You need to be paranoid when it comes to clicking links, especially when it comes to airdrops, because there are a lot of scams when it comes to airdrops, and it is one of the most common ways that new users get their wallets drained. You can slightly help protect against this by using wallets like Rabi Wallet, and always make sure you triple check and go direct to the source for your info. As always, none of this is investment advice, none of this is me advising you to go do these things. This is just me teaching you about something that exists in the space. Again, if you're interested in joining the OC, make sure you join the waitlist in the description of this video, and if this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to get notified each time I release a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.